Good morning, everyone. It's a nice weather in Jaipur, and we'll be starting off sharp at 3 now. Good afternoon, everyone, and please let me know who all are there. As always, in the marathon session, we'll be doing 50 questions today. I don't think we'll be needing a break today unless you want to go and pee. Otherwise, we are good to go because we're starting a post-lunch session. So I'm presuming all of you had your lunch and are full and not sleepy. With that, let's start. I'm Siddhi Bangard. I am your teacher and educator, graduated from VIT Mestra. I have appeared for 4 mains in an interview and did my post-graduation from XLRI Jamshedpur. Please use my code SBUS or SP Siddhi for any UPSC CSE subscriptions, and you will get an instant 10% discount on your fee or subscription fee. You can follow me on the Unacademy channel, and if you have any doubts, any queries, you can message me on the Unacademy app. I will surely revert. With that, let's begin. So on the plus courses of Unacademy, you can chat with the educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, answer polls. You'll be asking me, ma'am, what's different on the plus which we don't get on the YouTube is the feel of the platform. So Unacademy as a platform is way better, and for that only we have a lot of special classes. I'm conducting them as of now. I've increased the time of my special classes from 1 hour to 2 hour, and I'm having them every alternate day at 8:30 p.m. or 9 p.m. somewhere around that time in the evening. So the feel of the platform is pretty important because when you come to Unacademy rather than on YouTube, it's like it's a normal class. It's a normal offline class. Everybody can comment, everybody can talk. There are polls also which are not available on YouTube. So the interface is way better. Apart from that, we have live test and quizzes. So we are doing one right now. So you can check your preparation. Courses are aligned to the UPSC syllabus. Obviously, we have such qualified and top educators teaching. We won't at least compromise on this. And one subscription of Unacademy gives you access to all the live and recorded courses. So not just my course you will have access to. With one subscription, you have access to all the 200 plus courses that we are running for each and every subject. You have access to all of them, and not just live, but also the previous ones. So it's like even if you get a subscription now and there was a course which was an important course for this prelims or for the coming mains which has already been done, you have access to it. You're not losing out on anything. With that, let me know who all are there. So good afternoon, Afreen. Good afternoon, Vastos. Good afternoon, Neelam. Good afternoon, Priya. Good afternoon, Sanjeev. I'm seeing you after a lot of time, Sanjeev. What happened? All right. And we also have the Unacademy Iconic program. It is important for the freshers as well as I feel especially the people who are giving their last attempts. They shouldn't waste their time going the wrong way because then you don't have another attempt. So this program, Iconic program, is for them. Apart from the benefits of Plus, you also get a personal coach, daily mains Q&A practice, a study planner, and feedback on your performance from this person who will be there through your entire preparation. So you can talk to this person on WhatsApp, Telegram, calls, whatever way feels comfortable to you. So it's like teacher is there with you all the time, every time. 1 year Iconic is 64,000, 2 year is 99,000. You can use my code SPCD to get an instant 10% off. And 1 year plus is 44,000, 2 year plus is 64,000. And you can use my code SPUS to get a 10% off on the subscriptions. With that, choose wisely, choose Unacademy and choose Iconic and use my code SPUS to get a 10% off on any of the UPSC CSE subscriptions. With that, as I told you, I have the classes at 8:30 p.m. or 9 p.m. The special classes, the duration is now approximately 2 hours. So wherein we discuss 20 to 25 questions which are relevant to current affairs. So you're welcome to join those classes. They are free for everyone to join in. With that, simple rules of the class: 20 to 25 seconds to read, 30 seconds to answer, and most importantly, enjoy and prepare well for your prelims. Question number 1 on your screens. So guys, start up. Let's start. And another 15 seconds and then I'll start your time. All right. It's okay, Sanjeev. Not a problem. I'm glad to have you here. Your time starts now. By the way, Sanjeev, we did have an amazing session yesterday night. We started off at 8:30 p.m., ended up at 10:30 p.m. That was one good session. So you should have been there. And Priya, how are you feeling? You were a little sick yesterday. Are you good? All right. Vastosh has already answered. Anybody else wants to answer? Uh, okay. Well, interestingly, anybody else wants to answer? Okay. So all of you are answering B, but interestingly, the answer is D. So all the three options are correct. Yes, they are the smallest of the rhinoceroses and the only Asian rhino with two horns. They are listed as critically endangered in the IUCN Red List, which we already know. And the New Delhi Declaration was signed to secure the future of Asian rhinos. So, what's still the same, Priya? Did you take medicine? All right. Okay. So, coming here, uh, now they are the reason why they were in news is they are actually officially extinct in Malaysia. So earlier they were found in most of the Asian regions, but now they have completely disappeared from the wild, with fewer than 100 animals believing to exist now, and that's the reason they are in the critically endangered IUCN Red List and not endangered, Neelam. And yes, they are the smallest of the living rhinoceroses and the only rhinos with two horns. Otherwise, there is one horn, which we all know about, the Indian rhino. The Sumatran rhinos have two horns. So the New Delhi Declaration of Asian Rhinos 2019, which was signed between Bhutan, Nepal, Indonesia and Malaysia, was to increase the population of the three species of the Asian rhinos. Right? So we have in the Asian species, we have the great one-horned rhino, which is found in India. All right. Javan rhino in Indonesia and Sumatran rhino again Indonesia and the other places. So these are the three species of Asian rhinos. With that, let's move on to question number 2. Yes, Ashwat Kumar, you're right. It's option number D. Suhas is right. Ashutosh is right. All right. Question number 2. This should be easy. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Jain Dharm and their norms and what they actually revere. So that question is related to this. So 15 seconds to read and 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Another 5 seconds and your time starts. The time starts now. I don't know. I think I'm... All right, Afreen has already answered. Like today is the B option season or what? Everybody is answering B for every question. Anything special, guys? All right. Well, the correct answer is not B, but it is D. Neither one nor two. Why? Because Lord Bahubali is not a revered Buddhist monk. He was the son of the first Jain Tirthankar. So that's wrong here. Lord Bahubali is also Lord Gomateshwar, whose statue is there. And Gomateshwar's statue is actually made up of not grey stone but granite. So you must be remembering that Ashoka's father actually took to Jainism here only, if you guys remember. Yes, Chandragupta Maurya. So the correct option is option number D, folks. So this ritual, everybody knows, is celebrated once in 12 years. So Lord Gomateshwar is also known as Lord Bahubali. He's a revered figure amongst the Jains, and there is a abhishek which is done. I think it is done with milk. So the entire statue is bathed in milk. That's why it's Abhishek. It's called a Abhishek. And it is one of the largest freestanding statues in the world, made up of granite and not grey stone. All right. So the statue was carved by the Ganga dynasty in 981 AD. Hello, Nabam. Yes, Ashutosh, granite. All right. Let's come to question number 3. So you have 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Hello, Naveen. All right, another 5 seconds and your time starts. Yeah, I know. You're giving B answers and the answers are D are free. I don't know what's happening. All right, the time has started. It's actually an interesting question, the golden rice one. Uh, we have had this question in one of the previous prelims year questions. Very, very old. All right. So I have a couple of answers here. Okay. So Aditya, Vastosh, Neelam, Sanjeev, Ashutosh, Afreen, Aditya, Naveen all have answered correctly. Yes. All the 3 are correct. Guys, do you know which other thing has beta carotene? That's actually carrot. So it's given the beta carotene actually gives carrot the orange color, if you remember. So here it gives the rice the golden color, and yes, it's a biofortified rice variety. So basically it was in news because Bangladesh will become the first country to approve plantation of golden rice. It will actually cater to vitamin A deficiency, in which in Bangladesh is over 21%. That means 20% of the children or 1/5 of the children are suffering from vitamin A deficiency in Bangladesh. So it actually wants to give it a go ahead. And importantly, do you remember this Philippine-based institute, International Rice Research Institute? It's one of the major premier institutes for the research in rice. That also helped us in green revolution. We have discussed this before. So the solution is option number C, right? All right, let's come to question number 4. All right, your time starts now. Yes, Ashutosh, IRRI. Ashwat Kumar, was that the answer to the previous question or is it the answer to question number 4? Can you write the... Okay. All right. So Ashutosh is the only person who has answered it correctly. It's actually B. Naveen, it's not C. Here, what actually happens is Tamil Nadu Fisheries is actually trying this. So there are a couple of fish which are commercially very important, but over harvesting of those fish have led to their depletion in our coastal region. So Tamil Nadu Fisheries Department said that let's actually grow fish or rear fish in a controlled laboratory environment, and then we'll release it into the sea so that then the fishermen can catch it. So that's what sea ranching actually means. So they are actually releasing black tiger shrimps, Indian prawn and cobia fish in the coastal regions after developing them in the laboratory environment. So that's sea ranching. Option number B. All right. Not C, guys. Ashutosh, Afri, Neelam are correct. Rest of you, it's not option C, it's option number B. All right. Okay. Let's move on to question number 5. So I give you 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Suhas, it's option number B. All right, your time starts now. Priya has decided one thing. Priya says, ma'am, whatever be the question, my answer is always B. Kabhi na kabhi to sahi hoga hi hoga. How long will you not have an answer B? I will always answer B. Right? Right, Priya? Is that so? All right, time has started. All right. Well, the correct answer is A. So Aditya is correct. Option number 1 and 2 are correct for question number 5. Basically, Ashutosh, you will not have an idea about it because nobody has an idea about it. It's not even a turtle properly. It's just a very cryptic species which is as rare to find as is to find a diamond in a haystack or a needle in a haystack. So it's that kind of a species. Do you guys remember a similar species was discovered in Vietnam very recently? The mouse deer, which was neither a mouse nor a deer, but looked some like, I don't know, it looked like a deer and half mouse and half deer. We discussed that. The silver cervotain, remember? We discussed about it a day before yesterday. That was critically endangered. Do you guys remember? Vastosh is right. It's option number A. And Nabam is also right. Yes. So basically this turtle is actually no, Suhas, it does not mostly eat sugar canes. Interestingly, I will tell you how it looks like first. So this is how the turtle looks like. It's a beautiful species. Do you remember another species of turtles that we discussed? That was the brown-roofed or Bengal turtle, which was also the red-roofed turtle. We had discussed it a couple of days ago. Red-roofed turtle and the leatherback turtle, right? So the leatherback were the sea turtles and the red roof turtles were clean water turtles or river water turtles. Now this turtle that you're seeing here, the cane turtle, they actually don't like water at all. In fact, they forbid going even near the water, but they are found in the rainforest of Western Ghats. Oh, Ashutosh. All right. So these are Cochin Forest cane turtles. So definitely they are found in Western Ghats. They are very, very shy species and they are omnivorous. They are not herbivores. They are omnivores. They eat insects, mollusks, earthworms, millipedes and fruits. And they were first spotted in 1912 and then again spotted in 1982. It's very difficult to spot them because they are only 10 centimeter long, somewhere the size of your scale, only this much long. So it's very difficult to spot them and they actually hide themselves in the rainforest. They are also green, the forest is green, so it is very difficult to find them. And they are listed as endangered in the IUCN Red List. Oh, all right, Suhas. I'm sorry. See, since you're writing, I really can't decipher if you're being sarcastic. And then I'm not like Sheldon Cooper. I don't understand sarcasm. Right? All right. Naveen, what happened? End what? Okay. Let's come to the next question, which is question number 6. This question we have done last time also, yesterday also, the consumer expenditure survey. Everybody should get this correct. This is the easiest question today. All right. So I give you 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. And we also discussed the reason why we were discussing the consumer expenditure survey 2017-18. That's the biggest hit. Oh, all right, Naveen, endangered. Now I don't even understand shorthand. Okay, I don't understand sarcasm. I don't understand shorthand. I'm doomed. All right. Your time starts now. Ashutosh has answered. Neelam has answered. Neelam has not answered. As usual, she's retracting her answers. Neelam, you know how your OMR will look like? This will be the OMR. You will mark a couple of options. Then you will cancel them. all of them, and then you'll ask for a new OMR sheet. All right. Question number 6. Ashutosh, Afreen, Neelam and Priya all are correct. Yes, it's both 1 and 2. We have discussed this. The recent Consumer Expenditure Survey 2017-18 was actually scrapped by the government, citing that there was not enough data. And why is the Consumer Expenditure Survey important? Because it measures inequality, right? It measures poverty, and it actually decides the base for the next year's GDP, right? So this time the government scrapped it. It was in news because people said since the government has come, the poverty has increased, the inequality has increased, and the GDP has gone down. That's why the government scrapped the entire Consumer Expenditure Survey 2017-18. The Consumer Expenditure Survey happens every 5 years, and 5 years is called quinquennial. And it happens by the National Sample Survey Office, which is a part of MOSPI, right? So both 1 and 2. Nabam, 6 is option number C. Both are correct. Vastosh, 6 is option number C. Naveen, C. Sanjeev, it's C. Aditya, it's C. Alright? Suhas is still confused between C and D. He is following the footsteps of Neelam. Now he'll retract his message. Alright. Let's come here. Question number 7. You have 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Neelam, Naveen, Neelam is very angry with you. You shouldn't laugh. Only I can do that. Your time starts now. It's a difficult one, so even if you don't know, it's okay. I mean, it's quite okay. Okay, Vastosh is correct. It's option number D. And I know it was a tukka from his side also because it's a very niche kind of question. So neither 1 nor 2 is correct. Actually, this Industrial Security Annex Pact has not been signed yet. But yes, it is supposed to be signed between India and the US. So option number 1 is incorrect. It is supposed to be signed but not signed. And it is not a part of communications compatibility and security agreement between India and US. But the Communications Compatibility and the Security Agreement or COMCASA Pact is a part of the Industrial Security Annex Pact. Is that okay? So this was supposed to happen in December 19, but this hasn't happened as yet. So let's come to question number 8. So both option number 1 and 2 are incorrect. You have 20 seconds to read. This question we have already done. Integrated development of wildlife habitats. We have already done it in another format. So 20 seconds to read. Oh, you were sure? Then pretty good, Vastosh, because that was a difficult one. That question was difficult. So that was option number D. And Vastosh got it correct. Pretty good. Let's come to question number 8. Another 5 seconds and then your time starts. Your time starts now. All right. I have a couple of answers here. Anybody else wants to answer? Okay. So Ashutosh, Neelam, Priya, you guys are correct. It's option number D. All the three are correct. Your Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitat Scheme, it is a centrally sponsored scheme, right? That means some of the funds will come from the center, some of the funds will come from the states. And yes, financial assistance will be provided to states to conserve the wildlife habitat area. So this is a pretty generic statement. So option number 2 is definitely correct. That means option number A and B can't be the answers because 2 is correct. Now, third is yes, 21 critically endangered species have been identified under this scheme. So, the habitat for these endangered species will actually be conserved and maintained as a part of the Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitat Scheme. So, option number 1, 2 and 3, all the 3 are correct. Please remember that 21 critically endangered species have been identified. I want you to actually go and check the list. I don't have the list with me, but you can go and check the list which are covered under Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitat Scheme, or maybe when we take a break, after the break I can show you the list. All right. The one more thing that important I wanted to discuss was the scheme has actually 3 components. One is support to protected areas, that is national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves. Protection of wildlife outside protected areas and mitigation of human-wildlife conflict, that is the second component. And third component is recovery programs for saving critically endangered species and habitat. So first is protected areas should be conserved. The second is outside of protected areas, reducing human-wildlife conflicts. And the third is saving and protecting critically endangered wildlife species. Naveen, it is for outside of protected areas. You see, when you are doing integrated wildlife habitation, conservation, basically you would try to reduce human-wildlife conflict. For example, what keeps happening in Kerala or Karnataka? The railway lines pass through the corridors, elephant corridors, and the elephants keep getting stuck. So you would want to reduce that, right? Or in the corridors which are adjoining the eco-sensitive zones and then which actually merge into human population. So you would want to protect them. So that's why it's an integrated protection program. Is that okay? All right. Let's come to question number 9 now. Gamosa, everybody should know. I don't have the Gamosa with me right now. Otherwise, I would have shown it to you. So your time starts now. It's a pretty easy one. Neelam should be the first one to answer this. Okay. Now Naveen is again shadowing Neelam. It's okay. Yes, it's a Sam. Do you remember the white cloth with red embroidery? That's a gamosa. It's a traditional textile from Assam. Got the GI tag also. Very, very famous. My father got it. I will show it to you maybe in the Unacademy class or in our next YouTube session. I will keep it with me, or maybe once we have the break and my father returns, I will ask him to give me that gamosa and I'll show you guys the gamosa. It's a very beautiful cloth, very, very beautiful cloth, usually worn around the neck. All right. So it's a distinctive red border and floral motifs. It's actually made up of, I think, silk. It's made up of Muga silk, which is also very famous from the Assam. And there we are also talking about the Chokowa rice of Assam, which has also got the GI tag, right? So Assamese Gamosa are actually white cotton towels. So they are actually, they have been assigned a new function called for conservation of freshwater turtles. So that's why this entire thing was in news. So these are usually used as a gift for visitors, scarf, anti-dust mask wrapped around the head as a turban. So they are actually, as of now, conservationists are using them as a cultural icon to carry forward the message of turtle conservation in Assam, right? It's a handloom product. Yes. Naveen is asking when will you give him the Gamosa? Okay. We are having some really personal conversations here. Let's come to question number 10. This is actually a pretty interesting question. So most of you should get it correct. I'll give you 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. The name of the question, the entire question has the answer in itself. So this question can be easily done by elimination. I think I'll have a sip of water. The time starts now because this one's pretty easy. Anybody else? Ashutosh got a hang of it pretty early. Yes, Afreen and Ashutosh, you're correct. It's option number C. So the insurance firms are saying what we'll do is we'll have a named driver policy. So if anybody else who was driving your car and dies, then we won't give that person the insurance amount. Only if the person against whose name was there the policy, we will give the insurance amount only to that person. So that's your named driver policy. Basically, it was suggested by the IRDA, which is the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. So they suggested that it will provide coverage only for the drivers listed on the policy, right? For example, if you have a driver insurance policy, then you give your names, and if your friend is driving your car and unfortunately dies or meets an accident or whatever happens, they would have no coverage. So they are also trying to use telematics for tracking devices that will monitor the driving habits of people, so that people who drive rashly will not be given a policy or will have to pay a higher premium, right? So basically they are trying to use telematics so that eventually you can go into pay as you drive and pay how you drive model. If you are not driving very often, you don't need to have an insurance premium. However, if you are a very rash driver and drive very often, then I think the rest of the people need insurance more than you. That's how I feel. In fact, when I started off driving earlier, I guess it was everybody else on the road needed an insurance when I was driving. All right, let's come to question number 11. This is an easy one. We have done the question on Bodos a lot of times. So I think this should be pretty easy. 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. All right, your time starts now. This one was pretty easy, I guess. Arey, don't even talk about how I used to drive. Not the JCB. I used to drive a Maruti 800 when I started off. And you should see me sometime drive, sit in the car while I'm driving. You'll get a feel of Dawn 4. I don't know if you've seen Dawn 2, when Shah Rukh Khan drives in between the two trawlers and he takes out his car, that very sleek car. I drive a Dawn 4. You should actually see when I'm driving on the road. Any which ways. So the correct option is B. Yes, they are listed as Plains tribe and not as the Hill tribe. They are under the Plains tribe in the 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, and hence option number 2 is correct. And no, they are not the single largest tribal community in Tripura. Everybody knows it. It is Assam. Alright? Yes, Bodos are from Assam. यार उनको लिस्ट ऐसे किया है because they are found in all the other territories also, not just the hills in the Assam or any other areas. They're also found in the plain areas. Like West Bengal, maybe they have a large community of Bodos and other areas in the Seven Sister Hills also. So that's why. I think that's one of the reasons. Is that okay? All right. Let's come to question number 12. Assam is plain, and even if you're found in the hills, I don't think that's the reason. I think they are found in a lot of other plain regions also, so that should be the reason. But yes, Ashutosh might be right. All right. Assam is not totally plains though. I don't completely align with that idea. All right, chalo. Let's come to question number 12. Another aircraft, we have already done two, the Beaver and the Maxwell. The Maxwell was the electronic engine and the Beaver was the commercial aircraft. Here is the third aircraft for you. Thanks Ashutosh for helping me out. Another 5 seconds and your time starts. Neelam has already answered. What makes you guys think it is being developed by NASA? I mean, why? Why NASA? Any specific reason, folks? Civil study, I'm forgetting your name. You're Sandeep, you're what? I'm forgetting your name. Can you tell me your name? All right. Yeah, Neelam is right because that's what even I thought. Assam, some parts are hills and others are plain. So I guess because of the ubiquitous nature of Bodos, they are actually designated as plain stripe is not hill stripe because their niche area where they are living is not hills. Any which ways. The answer for 12th is actually A only. It is not being developed by NASA but by Lockheed Martin, the famous aircraft making company of the world apart from Boeing. So they are actually demonstrating a supersonic piloted aircraft. So we had the Maxwell, X-57 Maxwell, that was an engine. We had the Beaver, that was a commercial aircraft. And now we have this X-59Q SST, which is a supersonic piloted aircraft which can fly faster than the sound. So otherwise, obviously, if you, I don't know if you understand what are sonic booms. So do you hear that very large noise when you are there, when the plane takes off, and some other times also when the turbulence is there? So with these aircrafts which are flying faster than the sound, we will actually not have those sonic booms. So that's why this is pretty interesting. So SST or QSST is the short for Quiet Supersonic Technology, right? QUESST is Quiet Supersonic Technology. Lockheed Martin is actually developing it along with NASA. And interestingly, instead of a front-facing window, they have a 4K display. That means 4000 into 4000 pixels. A very, very clean display, something which we are also using in the television technology, right? Arnab, sorry Arnab, yes. Oh, you have the airport Bagdogra near you. Pretty good. I've been to Bagdogra airport and trust me, I was surprised with the facilities there, which were none. All right. Let's come to question number 13. This also we have done. All right. So another 15 seconds to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Another 5 seconds and your time starts. Yes, Arnav. Ashutosh, you can solve it using common sense. Try. Try common sense, Ashutosh. It can be solved. All right. So I have a couple of answers here. Radha, I'm seeing you for the first time, but nice to have you in the class. So, all right. Uh, it's neither B, C, D. It's actually, sorry, it's B. It's not A, C, D. It's actually B. Yes, plastics actually come under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. You must be aware of it. That plastics come under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers because chemicals and a couple of chemicals which are used in fertilizers are actually used to make plastics. So plastic parks are being developed with the state governments with the support of Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. This is correct. However, the grant funding is not 90%, is 50% of the project cost. If the government is having a 90% stake, then why are we actually even including the private players here? So it's 50% of the project cost. That's why option number 1 is wrong. Alright, so option number B is correct. Yes, Sudipto. Priya, Sanjeev, Arab, all are correct. Alright, hello Sudipto. I'm seeing you after a while, Sudipto. Nabam is right, Aditya is right. Okay, so in this, what are they actually putting up in a plastic park will be something like a software technology park. So plastic enterprises and all their allies industries will be there, ancillary industries. So material suppliers and machinery suppliers will be there. Plastics processing companies will be there. Plastic recycling, including waste management systems will be there. Now, as of now, we'll be having 6 plastic parks: Assam, MP, Odisha, Jharkhand and Tamil Nadu. So that's spread around India. In the east, Assam and Odisha and Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu in the south and Madhya Pradesh in the center. So 50% of the fund or the cost will be coming from the government, and the remaining project cost is to be funded by the state government, beneficiary industries and by a loan from the financial institution. So it will be a loan plus grant kind of scenario. It's okay, Sudipto, you don't have to quit your job. You always need to have a plan B. So not an issue. It's okay. Ashwat and Vastosh, you're also correct. That's option number B. All right. Let's move on to question number 14. The easiest question of the day, because we have already done this one. So your time starts now. Sorry, Ashutosh, what? AMOJT, what is that? This should be pretty easy. We have done all these. Do you guys remember I telling you that except for the Kashmiri stag, all the others are only endangered? Do you guys remember that? This should be critically endangered. This should be critically endangered. This should be only endangered. Remember? So Neelam and Radha is right. It's actually all. Even I made the mistake while I was reading this. So it should be option number D. All are incorrect here and not A. Your hog deer is also endangered. It is not critically endangered. Whereas your brown bear and your Kashmiri stag, they are critically endangered. Yes, Naveen, you remember now? All deers are endangered except for Hangul. It's a stag. It remains single, so it's critically endangered, right? So that's why option number D is the correct answer. All right, let's move on to question number 15. Uh, Again, geographical location. So our map question of the day. And another 10-15 seconds to read the options and then 30 seconds to answer. Ashwat Kumar, 14th is D. All are incorrect. Yes, Ashutosh. Assam, MP, Odisha, Jharkhand. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with these shortcuts and mnemonics and etc. etc. Your teacher has a very hard time remembering things. All right, your time starts now. Ashutosh is, ma'am, I got this. Even if you keep shuffling the options, I got this. Naveen is like, ma'am, I'll follow Ashutosh and Afreen. They're pretty good with maths. And I'm not applying my brains here now. It's D. Aditya says, no, ma'am. It can't be D. If everybody's saying, I will go with A. Neelam is pretty sure. Ma'am, it's D. All right. So both the Adityas, it's not A or C, it's actually D. The majority is sometimes correct, right? Yes, it's option number D. Let me just show you which is where what is happening here. So it's just to keep you reminding of this. Your Beaufort Sea is here. The Mackenzie River actually falls here. Gulf of Alaska is here, just beneath the Alaskan range. So, Arey Naveen, I'm kidding, man. I'm simply kidding. All right. Your Black Sea is, everybody knows here. We have already done this sea in the Unacademy sessions, connected by the Bosphorus Strait to the Mediterranean Sea. All right. Now, next, let's come to Yellow Sea. So, above the Yellow Sea, this area is your Bohai Sea, in which your Yellow River falls. I did it yesterday on the Unacademy session. Followed by the East China Sea. And then we come down, we have the Mount Cook on New Zealand. Is that okay? Lake Nyasa, I forgot to show you. So I'll show you Lake Nyasa. The Yellow Sea is here between North Korea and South Korea and the Great Plains of China. And your, what else was remaining? Lake Nyasa. Lake Nyasa is here nearby Lake Tanganyika in the Mozambique Channel, very near to that, just above Zambezi. All right, Ashutosh, I'll do that. Hang on, I will just do that. This is the Beaufort Sea, this is the Gulf of Alaska, this is the Black Sea, this is Lake Nyasa, this is the Yellow Sea, and this small sea is the Bohai Sea, which we did yesterday, and this is the Strait of Tartar, which again we did yesterday, in which the Amur River falls, and this is your Mount Cook. Is that okay? Ashutosh, do you want me to show it again? Here, Beaufort Sea, Gulf of Alaska, Black Sea, Lake Nyasa, Africa, Bohai Sea here, Yellow Sea here, Strait of Tartar between Sakhalin Islands and the Manchurian Plains where Amur River falls. We did it yesterday in the Unacademy session, and Mount Cook here on New Zealand. Okay, let's move on to question number 16 now. This is a pretty easy one. We have already done all the champion sectors. We've already discussed this once. We discussed the 12 champion sectors, and interestingly, somebody had asked me, ma'am, why legal is there? And I told you that education sector is not there. Do you remember? Education or some other sector was not there. So we discussed those 12 champion sectors. So this you should be aware by now. So 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Another 5 seconds and your time starts now. There we go. Okay, I have got only one correct answer as of now. Anybody else wants to answer? Ashutosh, Afreen and Priya are correct. Yes, it's option number C. All the three options are correct. We have already done that. The 12 champion sectors wala thing we have already done when we talked about the GES. I also showed you the list of the 12 champion sectors. The PDFs are already there with you guys. Second is, yes, it is looking to promote esports because it thinks it's a quite big industry. It will be an industry worth rupees 655 million or 700 million, right? And option number 3 is also correct. They are in partnership with Services Export Promotion Council and CII. So option number C is correct. Neelam is correct. Ashutosh is correct. Priya is correct. Right? Basically, this was held between 26 to 28 November in Bangalore. They came out with 12 champion sector services encompassing participation from 74 countries. So Department of Commerce organized it and they really want to promote esports, which is already happening now. Guys, please expect a question on mains on esports. So please prepare esports really well. It should be a short question in the mains because that is actually going to completely revamp the sports industry, right? All right, let's move on to question number 17 now. This one's pretty easy. So I'll give you 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds to read the question and then 30 seconds to answer. We also did another gaps report yesterday, but that was done by almost 5 to 6 organizations coming together, the production gaps report. I hope you guys remember we did it in the Unacademy session yesterday night. The time starts now. Yes, Neelam, I get it's for 16th. All right, everybody got this correct. It's United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. And interestingly, as per the UNEP report on the global emissions gap, they are saying that India, fortunately, is among the few countries that are on track to meet their Paris targets or the nationally determined contributions, which will be revamped and relooked at in 2020. We discussed that's why we were discussing the production gap report yesterday. That what is the production of the fossil fuels and how are we going to maintain or limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Remember, there were 5 or 6 institutes, non-governmental organizations that had come up to give you the production gap report for 10 fossil fuel producing countries. All right, let's come to question number 18. Yesterday, we did a question when we went for water vapor was found at Jupiter. Remember the moon Europa, we found water vapor by the Galileo spacecraft. Today we are doing something similar. So 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. I hope everybody of you had lunch, right? We'll take a break at question number 25 only for 10 minutes, 10-12 minutes. All right, your time starts now. Arnav, you didn't have lunch? Koi na, when we'll have the break, you can go for lunch. Alright? Okay, yes, it's option number C. So, as with the Galileo spacecraft, which observed water vapor on Europa, which is Jupiter's one of the largest moons. So, this Brui robot was displayed by NASA. It's an underwater robot developed for underwater exploration for icy waters. So, it will actually be exploring Jupiter's Europa moon and Saturn's moon Enceladus, right? So yes, it has been developed by the National Aeronautics Space Administration. Here it is correct. So NASA displayed this robot in 2019, the late 2019. The BRUI actually stands for Buoyant Rover for Under Ice Exploration, BRUI. And yes, they are planning to use it for Jupiter and Saturn's moons, as I just discussed. Actually, there's no train passing right now, only the engine is passing. Not many trains. Radha, it's option number C. Ashwat Kumar is correct. It's option number C. Alright, let's move on to question number 19. The PIXA index. I am supposing nobody has yet heard about the PIXA index. It's as surprising as it is to me, as it was to you. Right? So, 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Yes, Ashutosh, buoyant rover. The time starts now. You're very welcome, Radha. My pleasure. Well, yes, it's option number C. So, Radha, it's option number C. Alright? Radha and Aditya, it's option number C. Both 1 and 2 are correct. We'll actually discuss what this is about. So, your prosperity and inclusion city seal and awards. Well, Basque is a country or is a region in Spain. Alright? Spanish people. Now, this is a non-commercial index. It was commissioned by the Basque institutions and compiled by DNL partners. So, they are all commercial entities not belonging to India, they are belonging to Europe. So, they came up with this economic productivity that goes beyond GDP. So, they started measuring world's major cities on this scale, where they were not just measuring how much productive these cities are economically, then Mumbai is pretty high, but if they are economically productive, how empowering are they to the people which are living there? So, how much empowering are they for their populations, right? So, the cities have not been ranked on just their size or the health of the economy. What is the health of the economy? What is the size of the economy? But what are the efforts that have gone into to build the city into a more inclusive and prosperous environment for all its citizens? So, let's come to India first. So, for the Indian metros, Bangalore, Delhi and Mumbai. Bangalore got the highest position as 83 out of 113 countries. Mumbai and Delhi were at 101 and 107 respectively out of 113, which is, you can well yourself take the judgment on this. Bombay is a hell on earth. I have lived there. But their public transportation system is quite good. However, coming to the other part of the world, right? So, Zurich has actually got the #1 position and has scored strongly across all the measures. quality of life, work, housing, leisure, safety, and education. The Swiss higher education system attains a especially very high score. They have a pretty good higher education system. Vienna, so Zurich is followed by Vienna on this scale, followed by Copenhagen, Luxembourg, and Helsinki. Right? Helsinki is the capital of Finland. Yes, the RCB. Okay, let's move on. Question number, yeah, it's a hell on earth. Everybody knows that. So Haas says, ma'am, Royal Challengers Bangalore. Bangalore got the highest one. This is how I'm going to remember. All right. Let's move on to question number 20. Okay. So I give you 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. I don't know who all are from Mumbai or who have lived in Mumbai. They know how it is. See, I love Mumbai. I used to love going out there. But finding a house in Mumbai is a living hell. Whatever you earn goes into paying your rent. If you're living in a decent society, if you're living in a decent part of Mumbai, and if you're living in Sobo, you are robbed. You're essentially robbed. Your time starts now. Neelam and Aditya have already answered. Yes, Aditya, you're right. At least somebody is there with me. Somebody understands my pain. All right. So the correct answer is actually A only. It is not launched by Ministry of Finance, but it is launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So that's why it is incorrect. Option number 2 is incorrect. Option number 1 is correct. Basically, your portal is for the beneficiaries of the credit link subsidy scheme. So what they can do is, if they have any problems regarding the repayment of loans, regarding the credit, they can go register themselves on the portal, and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs will track it down and help them out with their problems. So it's actually a part of PM Awas Yojana, Housing for All, right? So basically, your credit linked subsidy scheme is essentially for people who are economically weaker sections or even the middle income groups. They can get credit at a reduced rate of interest and at reduced EMIs. So that is what your credit linked subsidy scheme is all about. All right. This one's, I think I'll just start directly because it doesn't require much time to read. You are kind of right, Arnab. That's why people prefer Dharavi, but unfortunately, I couldn't go and live in Dharavi. So that's there. Ashwat, it was A, not option number C. All right. Suhas is right. Ashutosh is right. Okay. Arnab, it's option number D actually. The She Shuttle has been launched in Hyderabad. Yes. So option number D. Basically, for taking a move towards safety and security of women, a bus service has been launched. So it is actually equipped with surveillance system, CCTV cameras, lady security guard. smartphone application for every passenger with a panic button. So it has been launched in Hyderabad. After the Reddy case that happened in Hyderabad, the She Shuttle thing came into practice. All right? Okay. Let's come to question number 22. So I'll give you 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Your time starts now. Yes, Arnab, Neelam and Afreen and Sohas, you're correct. It's option number A. India is not a member to this organization, obviously, because they're talking about Atlantic tunas. What will we go and do there? We don't even fish there. We're concerned more about the Indian Ocean. However, yes, the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna, it is an intergovernmental organization. So recently they decided that they will cut their quota for fishing in the Atlantic waters for the tuna species because it is under threat. So that's why this thing was in news, right? Yes, Arnab, you're right, because Atlantic is not around India, so we're not bothered. So it's option number A. Radha, it's option number A, and Aditya, it's option number A. It's not D, all right? So basically, this is the region, the entire Atlantic region. So the Americas and the Africa and the Europe, the busiest ocean in the world. This is your Atlantic Ocean, and these are the countries. The countries which are in the dark grey are a part of the initiative. That means a couple of the European countries, France, Spain, Germany, UK, and your countries here, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Niger, Morocco, etc., countries of the Levant, countries of the North America, Mexico, Canada, US, Brazil, and Venezuela, they are all a part of the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna. All right? Yes, 22 is A, right, Ashwat Kumar? Let's come to question number 23. The time starts now. Yeah, it was there in the news actually. So both option number 1 and option number 2 are incorrect. So your Madden-Julian oscillation is actually a very temporary phenomena, right? It is also the oscillation like you have in the end, so where the Pacific waters heat up and cause a havoc around the earth, especially for India where there is no monsoon. This one, MJO, on the other hand, is not westward moving but eastward moving. So it does not stay stationary like the ENSO oscillation, which is the heating. Here it keeps on moving eastward, and since it keeps on moving, it actually leads to a lot of clouds, rainfall, wind and pressure changes in the environment. Additionally, it does not traverse the planet in the polar region. Polar region, you really don't have many weather phenomena, especially like the one when you're talking about oscillations, because you need to have heat or you need to have a difference in temperature which doesn't happen on the polar areas. So it actually happens in the tropical areas. So it traverses the planet just like the jet streams, which do it at the higher altitudes. So the tropicals, in the tropical areas, you have the MJOs. So it actually starts circling the earth around the tropics, having clouds, rainfall, winds and pressure, changes in pressure all around the earth, and then comes back to its original form in 30 to 60 days. So it lasts for approximately 1 to 2 months. All right. So it's option number D. Neither 1 nor 2 is correct. Right? It's eastward going and it happens in the tropical regions. Let's come to question number 24. Now this question is a little bit old because dividend distribution tax has already been abolished. Right? But still it is here because since it was abolished, there might be 1 or 2 questions on it. So I've kept it here. The time starts now. Yeah, now so everything has changed. Okay, well actually it's option number D. Neither 1 nor 2 is correct. So this is the tax which is not paid by the shareholders but by the company. So if you have seen the balance sheets, now that won't be visible because it has been abolished, because it actually leads to double taxation. Why? So a company, it has earned certain profits, right? So after earning profits, when the entire revenue is there, it already pays a tax. After that, you have the EBITDA, which is the profit after tax, right? On that profit, the company actually distributes your dividend. Now, if the company actually goes around distributing dividend, the government again charges it as a part of income tax, but not on the people who are earning the dividend or the shareholders who are earning the dividend, but on the company to pay the DDT or division distribution tax. So it was a cascading tax. That's why it has been abolished. Now, the earlier it used to be paid by the companies, right? So it was not a part of income tax liability of a company. It cannot be included in income tax, but yes, it was nonetheless a tax or kind of a cess which the company had to give if it was distributing the dividends. Interestingly, why this was there, the dividend distribution tax, the rationale behind having the tax was that if a certain company didn't want to pay dividend distribution tax, then what it would do, it would not give out any dividends. Instead, it would just use the entire dividend or the profit to be invested back into the business to become bigger. So that was what the companies were doing, but now it has been abolished. We'll be going after this question number 25. All right, Suhas? Namaste, Bawa. Last question before the break. Then we'll take a 10-15 minute break and come back. All right? So superbugs, everybody have heard about them. 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Your time starts now. There is no option 3 that I have kept myself. That's just to fool around. All right. Okay. Interestingly, folks, the correct answer is B. So they are not only associated with bacteria. Most of the antimicrobial resistance that we see is usually for bacterial life forms. However, they can be bacteria, fungi, viruses, anything. So it's actually related to microorganisms which develop antimicrobial resistance to the drugs that we are taking. They actually become the superbug. For example, the NDM superbug or the New Delhi superbug, right? Now, recently the reviews find out that even the Walmart's pork products might have superbugs in them. So that's why they were actually shunned. It was in US, it was found out. Now, what are the microorganisms that we are considering here? Bacteria, fungi, viruses, parasites. So whenever they are exposed to microbial drugs, that is antibiotics, antifungals, antivirals, antimalarials, or anthelmintics, they actually become superbugs. So not just bacteria can become superbugs, but also fungi can become the superbugs, and hence option number B is correct. Yes, Suhas, right. Yeah, it's not correct is what it is asking. Arnab, it's asking for not correct, right? That's why I said this is not correct. All right, so we'll take a small break here. It's 4:25 right now, right? So let's meet by, it's 4:20 right now, 4:25 let's say. So let's meet by 4:35. Another 10-12 minutes, take a small break, go pee, have water, have coffee, and we'll come back. Is that okay? So whoever is B optimistic, both are not wrong. Only option number 2 is wrong. Yes, Arnab. That's why I said. So we'll take this small break. Nandini, it's option number B. Yes, we'll have the quiz. I'll try to have it before we end this session, right? I will give you guys, yes, there's this important announcement. So I will be giving you the quiz before we end the session. I will send the link here on YouTube, right? I will also give you the code to the live quiz, and then we can discuss the answers of the quiz here. All right, so we meet again at 4:35 p.m. sharp. I will start at 4:35 p.m. whether or not you are in the class. All right? Okay. All right, so I'm back. I hope you guys can see me. Visible and audible? Hi, 1990. All right. Who all are here? Let's start. Back? Are we back? All right. Then let's come to the next question. Afreen and Radha are here. Anybody else? All right, Ashutosh is also here. Then let's start. Question number 26 on your screens. I hope you had a small drink, a pee break, had water, a little refreshed. We'll begin. Okay. Another 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Arnab, I'm on time. I'm not late. I said 4:35 and I'm here at 4:35. All right, let's start. So any answers? All right. Only Radha has answered this correctly. Very good, Radha. Both option number 1 and option number 2 are actually correct. Guys, what do you think NATO's action in Afghanistan was? Or what was it with Ukraine? Both Afghanistan and Ukraine are not member of NATO. But if they have to defend NATO's interests, they would even help non-NATO members. So option number 2 is correct. And yes, all decisions in NATO are taken by a consensus of all the member countries. So with NATO, we also remember United States, Mexico, Canada, Free Trade Agreement, UMCFTA. Do you remember? They will be signing a new agreement with more intellectual property rights and obligations that were there in the NAFTA. So just related to that is the UMFCA. Remember? Yes? All right. Done then. So question number 26 is C. Ashwat Kumar, it's option number C. All right? Yes, Ashutosh. So this is what it is. Let's come to question number 27. And the Ukraine case is very, very recent. In 2014 when Russia annexed the Crimea Peninsula. So that's what we held. Arnab, I was here 4:35, not 4:36. I checked the time. I logged in at 4:34. 4:35 it took my, there's a 30 seconds lag in which you see my video and I'm logged in here. So it was 4:35. Because I haven't even had my tea and I'm here, so I know that. All right. Question number 27. Another 10 seconds to read and then 30 seconds to answer. Namaste, Abhishek. Yes, Ashutosh, right. Russia was thrown out of G8 and it became G7 now. All right. So the correct answer here is yes, they are separated by the Gulf of Kutch. All right, sorry, not the correct. They are not separated by the Gulf of Kutch, but Gulf of Khambat or the Gulf of Cambay. I will show you the photo now on the map. So it's not Gulf of Kutch, but Gulf of Cambay. They are asking for not correct. And yes, both Daman and Diu were a part of the Portuguese dominance in India, including the Dadar and Nagar Haveli. So it's option number A. Priya, option number A is not correct. Option number 2 is correct. Is that okay? So Afreen and Arnav have answered it correctly. Right? Okay. Bahua, it's option number A. So I'll show it to you on map. Diu is here in Gujarat. Hang on. Diu is here, Daman is here, and this is your Gulf of Khambat or Gulf of Cambay. Yeah, your watch is a minute ahead. All right. So it's option number A only, which is incorrect. It is not separated by Gulf of Kutch, but by Gulf of Khambat. Right. So let's begin. Question number 28. Arnab, they were asking for not correct. So option number A is not correct. Option number B is correct. They are both earlier Portuguese dominions in India. Let's come to question number 28. Your time starts in another 5 seconds. Yes, Arnab. Yes, Aditya. The Kutch is here. This is here. All right. Your time starts now. Eklavya one is for another one. There is also the Eklavya school is also there. That's another one. That's not for the Naxal states. The Eklavya schools are a new type of schools. All right. So what's your answer, folks? It's actually pretty intuitive here. Ashutosh, Radha, and Aditya, do you want to read option number 3 again? Ministry of Tribal Affairs has the responsibility for running and overall maintenance of the school. Will the ministry take the responsibility or will the state government take the responsibility? Why will the ministry take the responsibility? In the states will have to take the responsibility. Ministry can fund it, right? Under the special central central assistance scheme to tribal areas, right, over which we have also done the question, tribal subplan. So this is the scheme under which the money is being given to set up more schools. Some around 100 schools are being set up as ashram schools to impart education to scheduled tribe children. 100% central financing is there in the Naxal areas. However, the responsibility for running and maintaining the school is with the state governments, not the central governments, right? So option number A is the correct answer, right? What ban, Bawa? Yes, then A. Yes, right, Ashutosh. That's why it's option number A. Let's come to question number 29 then. Your time starts now. So who's answering this? None of the answers are correct, just like what I've asked. Which of the options are not correct? Similarly, none of the answers are correct here. It's actually option number C. Both 1 and 2 are incorrect. It has not been provided by Niti Aayog. It is Ministry of Women and Child Development. That is the ministry, right? I'm asking not correct. Priya, Radha, read it correctly. I'm asking not correct. And it provides a single window access to every woman, not just in organized sector, but in any sector. If the government starts doing that kind of segregation that only organized sector women can apply to this window or this portal, then that will be a gross injustice. So that will never happen. So option 2 is incorrect, and option 1 is also incorrect. And hence the answer is both 1 and 2. Option number C, because we are asking not correct. Right, Afreen? Alright. So she box is sexual harassment electronic box. That's the full form. Please remember such things for your main examinations. It is important. You can use these initiatives to write your answers. So it's an online complaint management system where you can lodge in complaints regarding to workplace sexual harassment pursuant to the Sexual Harassment Act of 2013. It's an initiative of Ministry of Women and Child Development. Your Niti Aayog does not come up with initiatives. Niti Aayog come up with policies and reports. The initiatives are taken by the ministries, right? So regardless of the work status, regardless of whether she is working in organized or unorganized, private or public sector, you can register your complaint related to sexual harassment in the she box. Alright. Ashwat Kumar, option number 29 is option number C, not D. And Arnab, it's option number C. You're still doing it incorrectly. Question number 30. We are again going to the Indian Ocean now. Your time starts now. Very good. Avishkar already gave me. One of the people has given me an answers. Everybody knows the answer. Pretty good. Yes, it's in the Indian Ocean. It was in news, so you guys must be already remembering. It's actually, Mauritius says that Chagos Island is a part of Mauritius. It's an archipelago. And the Diego Garcia is actually a base used by both UK and US. So they are not actually willing to return it back to Mauritius. They were supposed to return it to Mauritius last year itself. So, however, the UK took the island of Mauritius from the island of Chagos from Mauritius in 1968 itself, in 1965, and in 1968, even when the Mauritius got independence, the island country was not returned to it. So that's the Chagos Island. It's in the Indian Ocean. This is your Chagos Island. This is your Mauritius, Madagascar, Seychelles, Maldives, and Sri Lanka. This territory, the islands here are also known as Vanilla Islands, which we have done a number of times now. Ashutosh, it shouldn't happen because I'm watching my video as I'm teaching you, so that I can see the live chat. Right? So, I don't see any buffering actually. What happened, Baua? South Pacific simply means south of the Pacific Ocean. A little southern area, or the South Pacific Ocean only. It's just a direction, Baua. Alright. Let's come to question number 31. 31 is a little tricky question, right? So just be a little careful before you attempt it. Alright? We still consider it to be in the Indian Ocean only. Even the Vanilla Islands also. Oceania is your region which is called the Australia-New Zealand axis. That's called Oceania. The entire region of Australia, New Zealand and the islands in the Pacific nearby to Australia, like the Tonga Islands, the Tuvalu Islands, they are all a part of Oceania. Is that okay, Radha? Alright, the time begins now. Alright. Red Sea can't be a part of any other ocean, I guess. It's not even a part of ocean. It's just connected there by the, I think, Bab al Mandab is the strait which connects Red Sea to the Indian Ocean, right? So you can see it's a marginal sea of the Indian Ocean. Is that okay, Abhishek? All right. 31 is actually A. Why? Because biological oxygen demand. So if you have any organic products in your, or biodegradable products in your water bodies, so you will require oxygen to degrade them. So if you, the more polluted the water body is in terms of biodegradable substances, the lesser is the amount of oxygen available for higher organisms. So option number 1 is correct. Not COD, but the BOD is a better measure, because then you can completely predict how your organisms are going to fare. So option number 2 is incorrect, and option number 3 is not just for non-biodegradable but also for biodegradable. So your COD is a complete measure of the chemical demand of oxygen in water, whether they are biodegradable substances or non-degradable substances. So COD is a complete measure of that. That's why option number 3 is also wrong. So the correct answer is your option number A only. Is that okay? Avishkar is correct, right? Okay. So guys, it's option number A only. I've also mistakenly written B here. It should be A only. All right. Let's talk about question number 32. This is a very, very interesting question. So I give you 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. No, Abhishek, it's not a landlocked sea. It's not a landlocked sea. Abhishek, we have done the map so many times. You shouldn't be even asking me this. I mean, this kind of question at this juncture, when we have completed the entire world physical map, we have discussed the Red Sea on the Unacademy sessions in great detail. I just mentioned the Strait of Bubble Dub, right? It's not a landlocked sea. Your landlocked seas are Caspian Sea. Your landlocked sea is your Aral Sea. They are landlocked seas. This is not landlocked. It's kind of almost landlocked, but it does have a passage to Indian Ocean. So yeah, very small part of it is actually open. All right. Let's start this one. And the kind of questions you're asking, Abhishek, I mean, you should yourself think about the geography. You have seen the geography of the Red Sea. What do you think it is? Instead of asking me, what do you think it is? Yeah, you don't have to clarify. What do you think it is? I clarified it long ago. I have taught it you in detail. What do you think it is? All right. Radha and Aditya, it's not option number C. It's option number D. Actually, none of these are correct. It's actually Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So it was in news because recently the state assemblies have been asking the union government to let the highway be accessible to the normal traffic. So at night, the National Highway 766 is closed. So it's the Bandipur Tiger Reserve, and it was actually brought under Project Tiger in 1973, and its 766 passes through this. And yes, it is a part of the interconnected forest that include the Mudumalai, which is in Tamil Nadu, Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, Kerala, and Nagarhole National Park, Karnataka. All right. So this is how it actually looks like. This is your Nagarhole here, Bandipur here, Wayanad, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and this is your Mudumalai here. And your National Highway 766 passes through this. So it's option number D. Everybody, Afreen is correct. None of the above. It's option number D. Afreen, did you know the answer? That it's Bandipur Tiger Reserve and National Park? Okay. Let's come to question number 33. Abhishek, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. You decide for yourself whatever you want to believe, you can go ahead with that. If BBC UK is so saying something, go ahead, do that, na? Do your own research. I have taught you what I had to teach you. I'm not going to teach the same things again and again. Yes, Ashutosh, Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So another 15 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Your time starts now. Okay. So any answers so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, Actually, unlike your Supreme Court justice, right? So Ashwat Kumar and Bawa is actually right. This should have been 10 years for the High Court judge. He should have been an advocate of High Court or higher courts in succession for 10 years, right? And he should be a distinguished jurist in the opinion of President. That is for the SC judges, not for the judges of the High Court. So that provision is not there. So both 1 and 2 are not one of the qualifications for the person to be appointed as a judge of the High Court. Is that okay? Are we good? All right. Let's come to question number 34. This geotail part is quite exciting. We'll also see the photo of how the geotail exactly looks like and why was it in news. So 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Your time starts now. You're welcome, Radha. हाँ अभिषेक अपॉइंट तो प्रेसिडेंट ही करते हैं अपॉइंट प्रेसिडेंट करते हैं बट द pointer of being a distinguished jurist that is actually not there for the high court judges as it is for the supreme court judges बस उतना ही difference है. All right, so it's actually option number C. Your geotail is actually option number C. Yes, Kamlesh, you're right. It's option number C. I'm seeing you after eons, Kamlesh. You used to attend my classes earlier. Basically, what happens, we have all studied about the solar wind. We are sending Aditya L1. We have heard about the Parker solar probe, right? So all of these are actually going there to study the solar wind. So it's a stream of charged particles. Your solar wind is a stream of charged particles. So whenever electric charges are there, they actually change the Earth's magnetic field. So when the Earth's magnetic field interacts with the solar wind plasma, that entire magnetic field gets deflected and it starts looking like this. The solar wind comes, the magnetic field of the Earth starts acting like a curvature, which is also called a bow shock. Bow shock is a kind of a curvature which leads to varied densities of pressure and temperature. So this curvature is called the bow shock, which results because of the interaction of the solar wind or the charged particles and the magnetic field of the Earth. So this entire area, this dotted line is actually called your geotail. This line. So this area which is forming, the moon actually takes once every 29 days, the moon actually does take 6 days to traverse this entire geotail, which is caused due to the solar wind. Now, why are we actually studying this? So, what happens is in Chandrayaan 2, right? Yes, Ashwat Kumar, Kamlesh, Bawa, all of you are right. What happens is we have this called an instrument called Chandrayaan 2 Large Soft X-ray Spectrometer. It's an instrument on the Chandrayaan, right? So it's there to detect the direct signatures of elements present in the lunar soil. Is there sodium present? Is there calcium present? Is there titanium present? Now, to actually photograph those elements, it requires X-rays. So the solar flares which comes from the sun illuminates the lunar soil in such a way that the class instrument, the Chandrayaan-2 large large X-ray spectrometer is actually able to analyze the lunar soil during this area, during this time period when the moon is orbiting the geotail of the earth, because it is illuminated by the solar wind of the sun. So that's why this entire thing was in news. Both these parts are correct. The sun emits the solar wind, altering the magnetic field of the earth, because your charges actually alter the magnetic field, or they interact with the magnetic field. They deflect the magnetic field of the earth, forming a geotail which is traversed by the moon in 6 days. So during that time, the lunar soil is completely illuminated, so the X-rays can be actually taken in a better manner. So that is what we were actually making use of in the Chandrayaan-2 spectroscope. All right. Let's come to question number 35. Again, this is a pretty interesting question. This is about the Hindu Kush-Himalayan region, which was in news. It's also called, so there is something called the North Pole, there is something called the South Pole. Bahua, I have already told about the domestically systematically important banks. I have discussed that already on Unacademy and on YouTube both. I also showed the RBI, what do you say, the RBI distinction for that. I have already discussed that, Bahua. The report that RBI released, in which HDFC and the ICICI have been placed in bucket 1 and SBI has been placed in bucket 3. I have already showed that. So let's discuss the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. Another 10 seconds for you to read and 30 seconds for you to answer. And just give me a moment. I'll just get my tea. All right, your time starts now. All right. Baba, I can't help it. You'll have to go and check the videos. The day I told about them the first time is the day I discussed it. I think within the next 1 or 2 days, I discussed that entirely. And I remember showing it to you also. I remember showing it to you. I remember discussing it with Abhishek. I remember it very, very clearly. All right. Okay. So for question number 35, any more answers to come? Ashutosh, option number D is actually incorrect. It does not include the entire territory of Afghanistan. However, it does include the entire territory of Bhutan and Nepal. So the Hindu Kush Himalayan region was in news recently because it is also considered to be the third pole. So we say there is a North Pole and the South Pole. The meteorological scientists say that the Hindu Kush Himalayan region is the third pole because it has huge amounts of ice, and almost the 10 large river systems of the world, the Asian large river systems of the world, they actually emanate from the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, right? Okay. Yes, Baba, you're right here. It's option number D. Aditya is also right. It's option number D. So it was in news because they said that they will collaborate, the Indian Meteorological Department will collaborate with the meteorological agencies of China and Pakistan to provide climate forecast services to the countries in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. So there are approximately 8 countries which are a part of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. They are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Nepal, Myanmar, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. So some of these stans or some of these Central Asian republics, and then going as far as Myanmar. So it's actually a very vast cryospheric zone. I will just show it to you. This is the entire zone. This actually came in the Economic Times. So if you can see, extending from Pakistan to Afghanistan till the entire China and Myanmar, it covers a lot of large river basin systems. The Amu Darya, the Indus, the Tarim River, Ganges, Brahmaputra, Irrawaddy, Salween, Yellow, Yangtze, and the Mekong River systems. So here, they are saying we'll get together and we'll start predicting the climate, and so that we can take action wherever it is required, because this is one of the largest cryosphere regions, so we really need to protect it so that the ice is not melting. If the ice melts, there will be situations of flooding, and if the ice melts, we might lose a lot of species diversity in the low-lying areas, right? Okay, so going ahead, let's discuss a little bit about the Indian Meteorological Department. So your Indian Meteorological Department comes under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, right? It is headquartered in Delhi, and it is also one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers of the World Meteorological Organization, which is again an intergovernmental organization with headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. It was formed in 1950, all right? And it's a specialized agency of the UN for meteorology. Is that okay? Permafrost is the completely frozen region. Have you seen that permafrost? Which option, Afreen? Option number B. Cryosphere components include permafrost and glacial lakes provide various ecosystem. Okay, permafrost region means permanently frozen. Permafrost means permanently frozen region. So if you know the Himalayan region, some of the peaks are permanently frozen. Hindu Kush is there starting, which is actually the ending of the Pamir Knot. So the area in Kabul, the area in Afghanistan, Afghanistan is almost a very hilly country. So that remains cool, or that remains frozen throughout the year. This is the permafrost region. And cryo actually means cold. So it's a cold sphere, it's an icy sphere. Is that okay? Understood? So here it is saying that the permanently frozen region and the glacial lakes that are actually present in all the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, they provide ecosystem services for mountains as well as downstream communities. How? Because 10 biggest Asian rivers flow through these. For example, your Indus actually emanates somewhere close to Lake Mansarovar. So does your Brahmaputra. They all come from the Himalayan region, don't they? So that's the meaning. Is that okay? Afreen and Radha, clear? Okay. Let's come to question number 36 then. Great. किसको नहीं समझ पाए बउआ? The permafrost region? All right. Bauwa, let me know what you didn't understand in question number 35. I'll explain it again. All right. Let's come to question number 36. And your time starts now. This is a pretty famous committee. So you guys must be remembering this. This was very much in news, and a lot of hullabaloo was created around this committee, the Amitabh Kant committee. Okay. Afreen is correct. It's privatization of railways. So under the empowered group of secretaries, under the CEO of the Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant, they actually decided to develop the country's railway stations through private participation and bring in private players to run 150 trains. So there was a lot of news that we are trying to privatize the railways, bringing in more people. Do you remember we have discussed this, the leverage ratio or the operational ratio? Do you remember the operations ratio, which is 98.54 for the railways? So for earning every 100 rupee, the railway actually spends 98.54 rupees. So the railways is in a very dire state. That's why the Amitabh Kant committee was set up to bring in privatization to the railways to make it better. The third pole wala thing. Are simple. See, the north and the south poles are full of ice, Bawa. Remember? It's not C, Abhishek. It's A. So the north and the south pole are full of ice, right? So this region also, the Hindu Kush region, is also completely filled of ice. Because the Himalayas are permafrost regions. The Hindu Kush region is also at a very high altitude, so permanently frozen. So this acts like the third pole. Just like the north-south poles have a lot of ice because of their altitude, because of their latitudes. This has a lot of ice because of the altitude, because of the height. So that's why the third pole, because it has so much ice there. It's a permanently frozen region. All right? Okay. Let's come to question number 37 now. This one's pretty easy. This was also in news. So your time starts now. Arnab, what is the what question are you answering as option number D? Bawa, have you understood? Okay. Anybody answering this? Nobody knows this? Yeah, cryosphere means ice. Radha, it's option number C. It's Singapore. So Singapore was the first country to actually ban the ads on the unhealthy sugary drinks, just to give an impetus to healthy living. So it's option number C, Singapore. Afreen and Radha, it's option number C. Ashutosh is correct. All right. Let's move on to question number 38. All right, Ashutosh, no problems. Great, Bawa. Abhishek, it's option number C. Your time starts now for question number 38. Arnab, it's not D. Radha is correct. It's C actually. It's cyanide. This should have given you the idea. It's a rapidly acting, potentially deadly chemical that can exist in various forms. Potassium cyanide is very, very common if you've seen in movies. The person who is escaping the police doesn't want to tell the truth. He will actually just start licking the cyanide locket or whatever he has and will die immediately. So it is used in the extraction and polishing of gold and for gold plating. And yes, it is also contained in the cigarette smoke and combustion products of synthetic materials such as plastics. So it's cyanide. Option number C. Yes, Abhishek, sugary drinks mean cold drinks or something like you have the protein shakes or the cold coffees, something which is found in the processed form. All right? Okay. Let's come to question number 39, the easiest question of the day. This should be correctly done by everyone. So your time starts now. Yeah, Ashutosh, I think it's there in that movie only. Is it there? I have seen it in other movies also. All the gangster movies have one of these dying episodes where somebody consumes cyanide. And I remember we were asked to actually do certain chemical reactions to produce potassium cyanide in the chemistry labs in my 12th standard practical examinations. And I was actually not very sure whether they wanted me to die, whether they wanted others to die, what were they actually vouching for. Uh, well, Afreen is correct. Afreen, very well done. I'm actually proud of you. You have been working really hard. Ashutosh, you're also right. It's option number D. Gidda, we already know, Punjab. Ghumar, to now everybody knows, having seen Deepika Padukone, it's Rajasthan. There is an entire song devoted to Ghumar now. And Shiro is not Tripura, it's Mizoram. Alright? Yeah, Ashutosh, pretty seriously actually. They had us, I remember, I went up to my chemistry teacher. She was pretty intelligent, Miss Kamna Sharma, I still remember her name. And I told her, ma'am, are you sure you want us to do that cyanide reaction? She said, yeah, I gave you the chemical equation, right? You don't want to go and check it. I was like, ma'am, what if I die? Oh, you won't die, don't worry. That was her reply. So that happened. Okay, so it's option number D, Bawa and Abhishek. It's not option number A, it's option number D, it's Mizoram. Alright, okay. Let's come to question number 40. This is a little bit difficult, so if you don't get it correct, it's okay. Alright, your time starts now. Arnab, why did you mark option number C? You were like कि मैम ये तो बहुत difficult question होना चाहिए. I should mark somebody I have never heard about. Possibly यही सही होगा, right? I think I am. I didn't die, so definitely I am. All right. Well, no, it's actually interestingly, it's JP Narayan. The JP movement, very famous during the time of emergency. Remember when half of our politicians were in jail? So yes, he was a Marxist in his youth. He was a leading participant in the formation of Congress Socialist Party, obviously related to option number 1. He was also said to be the hero of the Quit India movement, and later on he actually quit active politics and became a Gandhian. So it's option number B. All right? Yeah, now Karnab is saying, yes, ma'am, I had nothing better to do. So I said, why not take an option which looks very, very odd? Great, but it's option number B, JP Narayan. So Aditya answered, nobody answered it correctly, but nonetheless, it's okay. Only Radha answered it correctly. All right. Let's move on to question number 41 then. This is a pretty easy one. So I won't give you much time to answer this because this you should have known by now. So your time starts now. Arnab, which question are you answering? Yes. Yes, Ashutosh. All right. Uh, oh, Arnab already answered option number A. Yes, it's Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The Kayakalp Awards were instituted in 2015. This time, they were actually given to they are given to the public health facilities that demonstrate high levels of cleanliness, hygiene, infection control measure, etc., etc. Now, so for 2019-2020, it has been interestingly given to AIMS Delhi was the first one. It bagged a 3 crore prize. The second one also was a health facility in Delhi only, which bagged not Delhi, it was in Pondicherry. The PG Research Institute, Pijmer, the Pondicherry Institute of Research Sciences. So that actually received 1.5 crores for the second prize. So the first one went to AIMS Delhi, 3 crores, and the second one went to PGIMER Pondicherry as 1.5 crores. PGIMER Pondicherry is very beautiful and one of the very, very famous health facilities in our country. All right. So 41 is option number A, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. All right. Bawa, why are you getting every single question wrong? What happened? क्या बात है भाई? गलत क्यों हो रहे? Abhishek is correct. All right. 42. Again, your time starts now because there's nothing much to read. Either you know this or you don't know this. Yes, you're right. PGIMER Pondicherry. Very tough as well to clear, right? I remember my sister giving that exam. And she used to tell me if I can crack this exam, if I go to Pondi to do this. I never understood the importance, but now I do. All right. Aditya has answered it correctly. It's World Health Organization. So your World Vision report is actually related to including eye care as a part of the healthcare systems. World Vision report released by WHO, they say that approximately 2.2 billion across the world. That means 2 by 7th of the population is actually suffering, or 35% of the population is suffering from vision impairment. So of this, 1 billion people are actually suffering from conditions that are preventable or unaddressed. So if eye care is actually integrated as a part of healthcare systems, it will be very, very beneficial. So it's WHO. All right. Ashwat Kumar, it's C. Afreen is correct. Radha, it's option number C, World Health Organization. Bawa is correct. Ashutosh, it's C. Kamlesh, it's option number C. All right. Let's come to question number 43. ये भाई सबका correct होना चाहिए. Because Mammalpuram we have like discussed number of times now. So I give you 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. Yes, Ashutosh. WHO vision report is for eye care. All right. Your time starts now. Okay. So who's giving me the answers? All right. So your correct answer is अभिषेक, यूनिसेफ भी विजन केयर देता है. मैं विजन केयर की प्रॉब्लम नहीं बता रही हूँ, मैं रिपोर्ट की बता रही हूँ. So the vision report has been released by the WHO. That was about the report, right? Okay. All right. So for 43, it's option number B, which is correct. Yes. Option number D is not correct because if you're talking about the Pallavas of Mamalpuram, then obviously you can't have the Cholan king Rajaraja Chola, right? And they are not made of basaltic rocks. They are actually made up of granite. And granite is an igneous rock. And this is actually, it was not one of the two major port cities by the 8th century within the Pandya kingdom. It was in the Pallava kingdom. So they are actually known for the Pallavas of Mamalpuram, right? That's why option number A is also wrong. Only option number B is correct. Most of the monuments, the rock cut rathas, sculptured scenes on the open rocks like the Arjuna's penance, they are from the part of Narasimhavarman. We already discussed that when we discussed the Xi Jinping's visit to Mamalpuram, right? So 43, option number B. And only Aditya and Kamlesh have answered me correctly. I don't know what else everybody else is doing. All right. Guys, please buckle up. Okay. ये सही होना चाहिए था सबका. Let's come to question number 44. This should be correct because this was recently in news. So I'll give you 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. The time starts now. Afreen has already answered. Anybody else wants to answer this? All right. Only Afreen has answered it correctly. It's option number B. The CJI does not appoint the judge of a high court. We just recently did it in the previous question. It's the president which does that. Abhishek had already asked me the question, right? So it's option number B. This is wrong because the Chief Justice of India does not appoint the judge of the High Court. Or as an acting Chief Justice of the High Court, it's the president who does it. It's Article 223, right? And a judge who actually is retiring as an acting Chief Justice of a High Court, he cannot get the pension of a regular Chief Justice. That is only it's only in sync with the number of months that he has served as the regular Chief Justice that he is going to get the pension, the increased pension for being an active Chief Justice. However, yes, till the time he is acting as a Chief Justice of the High Court, he will receive a pay and perks similar to the Chief Justice of the High Court. So there was a recent judgment by the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court said that only for the limited purpose of salary, the acting Chief Justice is treated at par with the Chief Justice and not for any other purpose, more particularly the pension. The Supreme Court said that there is a difference between Article 217, which talks about the CJ of the High Court, and Article 223, which talks about the President appointing somebody as an acting Chief Justice of a High Court. So given that distinction, the pension that is given to the Chief Justice is not similar to what will be given to the acting Chief Justice. Is that okay? Okay. Aditya, is that clear now? Understood? All right. So pension cannot be, but it's actually pretty obvious also. For example, if I am saying that, say, all right, if for example, I am coming in, Siddhartha Arora sir is say ill or he goes out, and if I'm taking classes for him for some days, I will be paid at par with him, but I wouldn't get all the other perks that he has. So it's like that only, right? I hope the confusion is clear now, Aditya. All right. Let's come to question number 45. This is again a pretty interesting initiative. So I give you 15 to 20 seconds to read and 30 seconds to answer. The time starts now. Keshav, have you even read the question? Or are you just giving the answers without any thought? Huh? You want to read the question again? Because I don't think you've read the question. All right. So, interestingly, nobody except for Afreen has answered me correctly. Guys, let me tell you one thing. You know what? Women are usually more sincere than men. That's one of the reasons we top everywhere. So Afreen has been working really hard, and I can see that difference in the way she is answering questions. I don't know what the rest of the men are up to. I'm sorry I'm being sexist here, but I really don't see much of an effort. So Afreen, Bawa and Ashwat Kumar have answered it correctly. It's option number C. Both are correct. The cryptocurrency is a tradable digital asset or digital form of money. We all know about it. It is built on the blockchain technology that only exists online. We know about it. Now here the only is not wrong. You can't have blockchain technology offline. That exists only online because people have to connect over the internet to have it, right? Now, UNICEF, yes, is the first UN organization which has decided to go ahead and do the transactions in cryptocurrency because they want to fund this initiative wherein they want to bring internet to all the schools around the world. In the developing countries where people or children don't have access to internet or to actually going online. So both these options are correct. UNICEF is the first UN organization to accept payments or to do transactions in the cryptocurrency. So Abhishek is also correct. All right. Let's move on to question number 46 now. This should be easy for every single person because we have done this question umpteen times since the last 3 months, right? Yeah, Bawa, I don't have a problem with late answering. It is okay. I understand there is a lag. We are not talking about India. They are only doing it in a few countries, Keshav. And you can't even ask me a doubt here because you said option number D. You didn't even go and look at option number A, which was correct and which you should have known if you're appearing for prelims by any chance, right? Okay, your time starts now for question number 46. When did I say they are accepting cryptocurrency in India? UNICEF is doing it in US, UK, wherever it is acceptable for its own transactions. And if you want to read more about it, Keshav, visit the UNICEF website. It is present there. You'll find it there. It's written there on their website. All right. Bhava, are you sure you want to answer this as option number C? Huh? Radha, you also want to mark it as option number C? Who else wants to give me the option number C as the correct answer? Afreen says D. Anybody else for D? अभिषेक, ये गलत नहीं होना चाहिए था. Pretty disheartening. And I don't know, Kamlesh, what are you doing? What are you reading? Are you guys seriously preparing for prelims? I'm actually doubtful. All right. Afreen and Kamlesh are correct. Okay. Why are you confused, Bawa? We have done this question already on the YouTube sessions. Sri Lanka is Mitra Shakti. Maldives is Equivalent or Friends exercise. We have already done this. Nepal is Surya Kiran. So C option can definitely not be correct. It's option number D which is correct. So Kamlesh and Afreen are the only people who have answered it correctly. Maitreyi is what we have done with Thailand. Lamitya is what we have done with Seychelles. And Dharma Garden is what we have done with Japan. Right? I hope there's no confusion now. Bawa and Radha. Abhishek also. Okay, let's come to question number 47 now. ये वाला गलत मत करना because ये हम बहुत बार डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. IIP पे तो I guess we have done more than 8 or 9 questions already. So this should be correct. Arnab, it's option number D and not B. Your time starts in another 5 seconds. The time starts now. Yes, Bawa. Very good. It's option number D. Finally, मेरी डांट का कुछ असर हो रहा है. So Bawa answered it correctly. Yes, it's 47D. Radha, it's option number D. Did you read half yearly? Have you been reading the newspapers, Radha? Abhishek is also correct. Kamlesh is correct. Afreen is correct. Ashwat Kumar and Radha, if you have been reading the newspapers, you will see the IIP figures are released quite frequently. So definitely half yearly to nahi honge. Right? It can be once in 2 months, once in 3 months, but definitely not half yearly. However, it's not even half yearly, it's monthly. IIP figures are released monthly. That's why option number 1 is incorrect. And the 3 sectors in which the IIP or Indian economy is divided is mining, manufacturing, and electricity. We have done this question umpteen times. You don't have to guess, Radha. Are you reading the newspapers or not? If you are reading the Hindu regularly, you would have done this correctly. It's a very easy question. नहीं, आज तुमने अभी सही किया, थोड़ी सी डांट का असर हुआ है. So I'm pretty happy. All right, Bawa and Abhishek. Look, I'm angry because you guys asking me stupid doubts after 3 months of studying from me is irritating to a next level. So don't do that. I'm expecting you guys to clear prelims. If you are to become a civil servant, act like one. All right? Okay. Chalo. So, manufacturing weightage is 77.6. Mining is 14.4. And electricity weightage is 8%. Right? Just remember this. Manufacturing has the highest weightage, followed by mining, followed by electricity. Right? And it is released monthly. We have done this umpteen number of times. It's okay, Ashutosh. It's completely okay. That is not a problem. All right, let's come to question number 48. And then we'll do a live quiz. So I'll just prepare. I will just start sharing the link for the live quiz with you guys. Give me a moment. You guys keep on doing this question and your time starts now. Okay. Give me a moment, guys. I'll just share the quiz with you. There we go. The correct answer to this question is option number A. Afro-Brazilian slaves. I will just talk about it. Let me just share with you the link to the quiz. And share it with you on the live chat. So before we close, we'll do this quiz first. No doubts. I'm saying option number A is correct. All right. It's the Afro-Brazilian slaves. So there is the quiz here. You can take the quiz. Can you guys see the link now? So the code is also there, 672092. To access the quiz, you have to go to your app, Unacademy app, right? Under the plus courses, go to take quiz. And there you can enter this code 672092. Once there are more than 5 people who have joined the quiz, I will start the quiz. There are only 5 questions. The quiz is regarding, yes Ashutosh, we will come back to the ending of this. We'll discuss question number 48, 49 and 50. I'm here only, but first we'll discuss the quiz. Alright, so I request every one of you to join the quiz. Okay, alright Abhishek. And the code is 672092. 672092. God, where did this go? Oh God, I'll have to send this again. Folks, there's a small problem. That quiz actually went missing. I'm sending you a new link. So just hang on and log in with the new link. This is the new quiz and this is the link. So please join the quiz, everybody. Folks, the quiz link has changed. I don't know what happened to that. That automatically vanished from my app. So I'm hosting a new quiz. The code is 611447. Anybody else joining the quiz? Are we ready? I'll wait for another 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, and then I'll start the quiz. All right. So I'll start the quiz. Okay, the quiz is starting now. All right. Abhishek, I can't help it actually. Abhishek, don't worry. I'll discuss the questions here. So don't worry. We will discuss everything here. So just hang on. I will discuss the questions here. Abhishek, I have no clue. All right, so I guess the 5 questions are done now. The questions are quite good actually. All right, so 9 people have attempted the quiz. Priya topped the quiz. Sayukta also did well. Adarsh pretty well. Himanshu nicely done. I'll just share the solutions and the questions here. So everybody, if you can get back, we'll share the solutions. The first question was regarding East Asia Summit is a regional forum having members from 18 countries. Which of the following countries are members of East Asia Summit? So 5 options were given. India, US, Russia, China, and Indonesia. Right? So let's check it out. So East Asia Summit is actually a regional forum. We have already discussed this in the IR series. So ASEAN plus 6 are the members of the East Asia Summit plus 2, which is US and Russia. So out of this, whom we have here is India is a member, US is a member, Russia is a member, right? China is a member, and definitely Indonesia is a member. So 1, 2, 3, 5, all are the members of East Asia Summit. Is that okay? All right. Let's move on to the question number 2. Okay. Question number 2 was about okay. Abhishek, it's okay. Can you please focus the questions here? Ashutosh, are you here? Those who attended the quiz? All right. So the another question is with reference to working mechanism on consultation and coordination, WMCC. Working mechanism on consultation and coordination, consider the following statements. It was established in 2012 as an institutional mechanism for consultation and coordination for the maintenance of peace and tranquility on the India-China border areas. That is one, and it is headed by joint secretary level officials from both sides. Statement 1 is actually correct. It was established in 2012. I've already discussed this in the India IR series when we discussed China, right? It's okay, Ashutosh, we're discussing the answers here. For the joint secretary level, that statement is also correct. Yes, it is headed by the talks from joint secretary levels official from each state. So they are entrusted to help the special representative, which are there for the boundary talks, which is currently held by NSA Ajit Doval. Right? It's a part of the Indian Express article. The next question was about SAFTA. So they are asking, there are 5 countries given. We have to discuss which are the states actually part of SAFTA, right? So I will just give you the options. Just give me a moment. I'll just write down the options. Okay. So the options here are Bhutan, Maldives, Pakistan, Singapore, and Afghanistan. All right. So let's just check this out. We have Afghanistan here, right? We have Maldives here, Pakistan and Bhutan, and of course India. But there is no Singapore here. So SAFTA is between Afghanistan, Pakistan, Maldives and Bhutan. India and Nepal and Sri Lanka are the other members of SAFTA. So SAFTA is between the SAARC countries, so definitely Singapore will not be there, right? Now let's come to question number 4, which was discussed. So which of the following are members of the Indian Ocean Commission? We have discussed this numerous times, right? So let's talk about this again. It's okay, Bawa, it's okay. Talking about the Indian Ocean Commission, first option, second option, third, fourth, fifth. First is Madagascar, Mauritius, Seychelles, Maldives and Indonesia. So we already know that the IOC is for the Vanilla Islands. We have discussed this numerous times, right? So there are 7 observers, but as of now there are only 5 member countries of the IOC. So they include the Comoros Islands, Madagascar, right, Mauritius, Seychelles and Maldives and the Reunion Islands. So Indonesia is not there, right? So this was in news recently because India was accepted as an observer in the Indian Ocean Commission. We have already discussed that. Yes, Ashutosh, all the SAARC nations are members of SAFTA. Now, let's come to question number 5. So, talking about question number 5. Okay. And we go here. Question number 5 is about match the places with the country. Hambantota, the country written is Sri Lanka. Bhashanchar, the country written is Maldives. And Rakhine, the country written is Bangladesh. So definitely only Hambantota is correctly matched with Sri Lanka. Bhashanchar is in Bangladesh. And your Rakhine state is in Myanmar. So only one is correct. That was your question number 5. With that, let's move on to question number 48 now, where we were discussing the solution. So your Quilombolas are actually people in Brazil who live in the northeastern part of Brazil, right? So I'll take you back there. Is everybody here? Back here? All right. So discussing this, recently what happened, America and Brazil already have a tie-up. America and Brazil wants to revive its space system. So Brazil had signed an agreement with US long back in 1980s to have in the northeastern part of Brazil their entire space center, etc., which is also called Alcântara missile launch site in the state of Maranhão. So there lives these people called Quilombolas. They are the African slave, the successors of the African slaves which were brought to Brazil from Africa to work in the Americas. So these people escaped from slavery. So Brazil was the last country where slavery was abolished in 1888. So these people are now living in the northeastern part of Brazil and they are called Quilombos. And these people are actually opposing the move of Brazil and US expanding the Alcântara missile launch site, because more and more African Brazilian people will be displaced, and wherever they are displaced they are not given another chance to earn a wage or to live peacefully. So these people are saying that when you first took our lands in the Alakantara missile, for the Alakantara missile launch site, you already occupied it, you have enough area, why don't you develop it further? Why do you want more land from us? So the article in the Hindu regarding the same was no country for Quilombolas. Please remember this. They are Afro-Brazilian slaves, right? Let's move on to question number 49, which is the second last question for the day. This is pretty easy. So your time starts now. About this vaccine, most of you must be already knowing. This was quite much in news. Neelam is the first one to answer, and she's answered it correctly. Yes, it's for typhoid. So what are the advantages of the type bar TCV vaccine? We'll just see. It's actually been, no Jai Krishnan, it's not for cholera, it's for typhoid. Alright, Afreen is correct. Ashwath, it's typhoid. So it was in news because Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech actually developed this vaccine. So it's more effective than the previous vaccines which have been used for typhoid fever. Now the problem with the previous vaccines was that you could not give it to very, very young children which are below 2 years. And they often used to catch typhoid fever and a lot of children used to lose their lives. So this is actually a conjugate vaccine. Now what do you mean by a conjugate vaccine? So it's actually combining two components, the antigen or the weakened microorganism that is there in the vaccine. The antigen is there in the vaccine, is actually also attached to a protein carrier. So that way this vaccine becomes more powerful or gives a very combined immune response. So this vaccine, because of this very nature, since it's it has increased protection rate, approximately of 80% protection rate, it can be given to babies as young as 6 months. While the other two typhoid vaccines that we already have, one is the polysaccharide typhoid vaccine, right? And the other live weakened typhoid vaccine, they cannot be given to children below 2 years of age. This one can be given. So it can be, and it can be given in a single dose. So it can be given to people aged between 9 months to 16 years. And it actually gives them protection for at least 2 to 3 weeks after administration. Now, this is very important because the typhoid bacteria have become kind of superbugs or have become very, very drug resistant, extensively drug resistant, especially in India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So, type bar TCV, we are also supplying to Pakistan since 2017. Pakistan is also the first country to actually introduce the conjugate vaccine as a part of its national immunization program. Is that okay? And it already got the clearance from WHO. So it's not C, Ashutosh, Radha and Abhishek, it's option number A. Alright. Let's come to the last question of today, question number 50. This again an interesting question. RBI is a part of our debate and discussions very often. So I give you 20 seconds to read the question. It's a little long question, and then 30 seconds to answer. All right, your time starts now. Radha and Abhishek, it's option number. Bawa, which question are you talking about? because now I don't have access to the quiz and I don't have access to the questions. So, well, nobody has answered me this correctly. The correct option is option number D. Under the departments of supervision, we are having Department of Banking Supervision, Department of Non-Banking Supervision, and Department of Cooperative Banking Supervision. And the Department of Banking Regulation goes under another department called Department of Regulation. So what they are actually doing is, RBI said it will unify the departments for supervision and regulation with effect from November 1, 2019, so that it can increase its oversight over commercial banks and urban cooperative banks, or the UCBs and the NBFCs. Now, for that, under the Unified Department of Supervision, you have Department of Banking Supervision, you have Department of Cooperative Banking Supervision, and Department of Non-Banking Supervision. So, where does your Department of Banking or Non-Banking Regulation go? So, there is a separate department called Department of Regulation, under which you have Department of Banking Regulation, Department of Non-Banking Regulation, and Department of Cooperative Banking Regulation. Yeah, Bawa. So what is the problem with that? Option number 50, question number 50, answer is D, not C. Yeah, so Bawa, the working mechanism was set up in 2012. The correct answer for that working mechanism question was option number C. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Joint level secretaries people sit, and as of now it's Ajit Doval who sits in the WMCC, and yes, it was started in 2012. Hope that answers your question, Bawa. Right? Now, I want to show you something. What are the various departments of RBI? So, these are the various departments of RBI. Department of Regulation, Department of Supervision, which we were just talking about, right? So these are the two unified departments now. As you can see, there are a lot of departments in the RBI: Consumer Education, Corporate Strategy, Department of Regulation, Department of Supervision, etc., etc., etc. So some 20-25 odd departments are there. If you go on the RBI website, you can see them. All right. Chalo folks, we'll end here. And as you all know, you can use my code SBUS for any subscriptions under the UPSC CSE category, or use my code SP Siddhi for 10% off on your fee, right? We are planning to have an Unacademy session tomorrow, along with a marathon session at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow also there is a marathon session at 3 p.m. on YouTube, and apart from that, we'll also have an Unacademy session, possibly for an hour or something, right? Okay. So with that, thank you and good night and good evening. I'll end my session here. Bawa, what is your doubt? Any other thing that bothers you? I already helped you, Bawa. Okay. You're welcome, Radha.